never hurt you. First off, that's a lie. Secondly, the words themselves may not be what hurt you, but based on what a man says, that could be the forewarning that a lot of hurt is coming if you keep staying in that situation, if you keep trying to love that man. Certain statements a man says can be all the red flag that you need, that it's time for you to run. I'm all about actions speak louder than words and all that kind of stuff. But like the same way they say love is an action verb, so is hate, so is a lack of compassion, so is a lack of emotional intelligence, so is a lack of consideration, so is a lack of honesty. All of those things are actions. But guess what? Sometimes the words, that's the warning label. You know how much easier things would be if people walked around with a warning label of all the BS that they came with? Guess what? They do often. And it's the words that they say. You just got to be careful that you're not projecting your own meaning onto things over what the person is saying or the meaning behind what they're saying. Not only can you not let a man talk to you any kind of way, you also got to be careful not to ascribe any type of meaning to what a man says and truly see what he's meaning behind what he says. There are certain things, I know y'all look at deal breakers and say, well, you know, if he cheats or if he tries to abuse me or if he does this or doesn't have enough money, et cetera, et cetera. There are certain statements that a man says. And if you see it clearly, you ain't got to listen to your intuition. You ain't got to have this higher level knowledge. You just got to take it for what it is when he says it. So let me give you an example, because I was just talking about this, was it day before yesterday? I did a master class called How to Break the Soul Tie. And essentially what I've come to understand is that a lot of y'all, you ladies, y'all have such a heart that you got so much love for a person sometimes, where you will put it on them to let it affect what they're giving to you. Even though what they're giving to you is unloving, you got so much love in your heart, you will spread it over what they're doing, which ultimately masks the true heart posture behind what they're doing and saying. So a girl asked me, well, what happens when a guy tells me every time that I tell him how I feel, he says, stop tripping, or he says, calm down, or he says, you just need to relax, or he says, you're overthinking, or he says, you're thinking too much into it. She's saying like, I'm like, sis, you don't hear what he's saying? And the love that she got for him is blocking out exactly what he's saying. It's like it's canceling out the possibility that this guy is invalidating her, minimizing her. It's canceling out that this guy is saying, I don't want the inconvenience of even expressing curiosity to understand you better, you know, in terms of what's bothering you right now. It's blocking that out. Like the love that she has for him. She got love, and she got so much love for him. It's like, oh, let me close this door, and let me try to make this one thing make sense. Let me try to make this one thing credible that I want to be the truth beyond what he's clearly saying. Stop tripping. Y'all, I'm not big into overusing a lot of terms and gaslighting. I get it. There's some buzzwords out here, but that is 100% gaslighting. That is 100% trying to convince you that what you feel, the real experience you're having with something that he's done or something that he said, or maybe something external to him that you're bringing to him and giving him the opportunity to support you in, is invalid. Now, are there disclaimers or situations where that fits? Absolutely. Okay. Nothing is so black and white that it's never okay to say stop tripping. If there's a spider, you know what I'm saying, and you just bug out, or a fly in the car and you about to run off the road, he says stop tripping. Like, come on now, use your discernment. And when I say use your discernment, I'm really saying look at the spirit behind the words that he's saying. Because that's ultimately what gives it meaning anyway. Yes, the words stop tripping are problematic, but especially when the spirit behind it is invalidating. It's pompous. It's prideful. It's another way of saying you're not worth my effort to stop what I'm doing, give you my undivided attention, and try to understand exactly what's going on with you. Because I'm not bothered right now, I'm not going to even entertain or make space for you to have some type of uncomfortable experience that I need to pay attention to. That's what that means. No, it's not you thinking too much into it. You ever felt truly understood and, truly relaxed and, at peace again when a man says, stop tripping? You need to stop tripping. And let's not even get into the fact a lot of times you really not overthinking in the slightest. You're not overreacting in the slightest. You probably just peeped some stuff he don't want to admit or be held accountable for. So to stop tripping, it's a little statement, is to imply that your emotions are the issue. Not what he's doing, not what he's signaling, not the trigger that he's caused you to have in this situation. If a man says, stop tripping, you know he lacks either the emotional intelligence or the investment into you to love you properly. Now, again, that's with context, okay? That's not literally the word stop tripping. If he's being playful, like, come on now. But if he says stop tripping and you just brought something to his attention that was bothering you, especially something that he's done, man, stop tripping. That man is letting you know he don't care. And if he don't care truly about your well-being, your best interest, your emotional well-being, the impact that he has on those things, his actions are going to reflect that on down the road, if they haven't already, behind your back. Straight up. Another statement that should make you run for the hills. Because again, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. But words are a messenger. The power of death and life is in the tongue. If that man is using certain words, it is an indication whether or not he's bringing death into your spirit, into your life, into your dreams, or if he has the ability to build you up and bring life. But if he says the words, or he asks the question, what do you bring to the table? Run. Again, this is with context. What is the spirit behind what he's saying? Because there's a such thing as a man using whatever available language that he has to say, I want to know what kind of impact I can expect from being in your life and you being in mine. There's a way. Okay, there's a way to know this man is genuinely, sincerely, humbly just broaching the conversation in a way that he knows how. But y'all know, like I know, 99% of the time, a man is saying that in a way that says, hey, prove yourself to me. It's not him literally being curious. It's just him saying, I want to set the dynamic where you now have to do some type of trick or prove something to me, and I'm in the seat of the judge and jury to disqualify you. Whether with my body language, per what you're trying to tell me, or with me just invalidating. If you say, well, you know, I cook and I clean, well, I could pay somebody to do that. Y'all already know. Y'all seen the conversation. Some of y'all have been asked that for real. And that's why I say, run. What do you bring to the table? Just him saying that and expecting you to verbalize with when you're dealing with a feminine woman, it's going to be an experience. It's going to be an experience. It's going to be something that the man, as he puts in the effort, as he takes the time to get to know you, he's going to be able to feel what you bring to the table. He's going to be able to feel if you are a supporter, if you are a nurturer. He's going to be able to feel if you're honest and he doesn't have to question you. He's going to be able to feel if you are a facilitator or a magnet for respect from other men based on your inaccessibility to other men. He's going to be able to feel those things. And honestly, anything that you say to that regard, you can't back it up or qualify it right then and there anyway, because it's an experience. You see, whenever you ask a man, what do you bring to the table? We can say this amount of money or this amount of credit or this amount. We can say certain things. I can protect you physically. And we can prove it right then that we at least have the capacity. It actually does make sense for you as a woman to say that. But men and women are not the same. We are equal in value. We're not synonymous in our role. So that whole, what do you bring to the table? I'm telling you, based on the spirit behind it, if it's pride, if it's ego, if it's, I want to test you to see if you're going to peep and hold me accountable to the nature of what I just said and not tolerate it. I just want to test you and see if I can agitate you, because a lot of women do struggle to answer this question. Now, again, I can speak to it. You can speak to it. But ultimately, it can't be qualified on words alone. Not only that, if you speak to, as a feminine woman, if you speak to what you bring to the table, you need to, if you're going to honor this conversation, speak in the context of what he brings out of you. Because the feminine is reactive. It's responsive, rather, should I say. Not reactive, responsive. Meaning, for any man watching this, what you get out of that woman is going to be predicated on what you nurture out of that woman, good or bad. She's like a garden. If you do what you're supposed to be doing, that garden is going to yield you produce, fruit, vegetables, everything that you need to sustain and be great. But if not, if the environment that you create for her suffocates her, starves her of the nutrients that she needs, she's going to be bare. Because she's feminine. She's responsive. She's supposed to be. That's why I say, if this man says this, at absolute best, he doesn't even understand the masculine, feminine, yin and yang. He doesn't understand polarity. At best, I'm speaking to the men that aren't trying to just agitate you and get under your skin or anything like that. What do you bring to the table? He's already forgotten his role in what you're able to bring to the table. You can get the best garden, the best woman in the world, and you put her in a messed up environment. Guess what? She's not bringing anything to the table. She's in survival mode. He's forgetting that if he even asked that. But again, the spirit behind it. I'm not saying literally the words, but the meaning behind these words in this statement. If that man is basically saying, hey, do your best dance, shuck and jive, jump through these hoops verbally, he's trying to establish a dynamic where he's superior and you're inferior. Run. Now, another statement, and these are kind of statements. If a man says something along the lines of, like, say, for instance, and there's always context, guys, always context. But let's say you guys are trying to resolve some conflict, AKA you're letting him know something he's done has deeply troubled you, made you uncomfortable, isn't tolerable. And let's say it's been a couple of times. This isn't a rare occasion where it's more than one time you brought something to his attention. And he says something along the lines of, well, if it's so bad, why are you still here? If I'm so bad, if you don't like it, why don't you just leave? I shouldn't have to tell y'all this one, that it's time for you to run if a man says anything like that. But in so many words, he's basically saying, I don't like you. I don't like you. Now, why do I say that? Am I just trying to be dramatic or hard on men? No, because you don't say stuff like that to somebody that you like. It ain't even about love. It ain't even about the attachment of love, the emotion. It's like, I don't even like you if I say something like that. If you don't like it, it's another way of saying, I'm not wanting to make any adjustment to anything that I'm doing that's hurting you, troubling you, damaging you, traumatizing you. I'm not willing to make any changes. So take it or leave it. That's another. And if a man says all the things that I'm doing that's got you so hurt, that's got you so uncomfortable, you even bring it to my attention multiple times, I'm willing to continue. And I'm going to continue if you stay here. That's what it's saying. Doesn't that mean that man doesn't even like you? It ain't even about love at that point. Misty says, that was my ex. Leave. Run. You ain't got nothing else to talk about. If you so, honestly, I would say he telling the truth. It's so bad. Why are you still here? The question is why? And that's a rhetorical question. Why am I still here? How fast can I pack my stuff? Or these days, because a lot of time these dudes, they the ones that's living off y'all. How fast can he pack his stuff? Another statement that lets you know it's time for you to run for the hills, sis, is when that man says, stop bringing up old stuff. Are you still on that again? In reference to you letting him know something he did X amount of months or even years ago has now triggered you, or you've been triggered about it, or still affecting you, or affecting how you're able to show up in a relationship, or on your mind. If that man says, stop bringing up old stuff, then he's letting you know he's so inconvenienced with how he's impacted you. It's now more important to him than the impact that he's had on you. Hopefully that don't go over y'all heads. Kimberly says, the man I'm currently divorcing, once I watched your videos, it was wise. It wised me up and I was done. I love that. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm your big brother. But look, in that same regard, Kimberly, because I'm never going to tell you to break up a family and all these other things. What I am going to tell you to do is love yourself so much that nobody can be in your life unless they love you at that level or higher. And if a man tells you that you're holding on to something that he caused you to feel too long for his convenience, you got to go. You holding on to that too long. And I've talked about this before, so I'm not going to go too far in depth here. But for any man that's done something, look, I'm not on no pedestal. I've been there before, man. I've had to grow. I've had to learn. I've had to fall on my face and get it wrong before I got it right. But do understand something. Flaws and all, imperfections, none of us perfect, etc. When you hurt a woman, it's not that she's bringing old things up. It's what you did gave her a whole new reality she still hasn't adjusted to. She's not bringing old things up or holding on to old things. Those old things are holding on to her. And you can't qualify the depth of impact that you had on her for her. You took a chance for that action, that decision, or those decisions. You took a chance for that to mean whatever it was going to mean. You didn't have control over that. It could mean that she could never love herself again. It could mean that she thought life wasn't worth living no more. There was no control that you had, but you was willing to take that risk for it to mean those things, whatever it meant. Don't get all inconvenienced now that she's bringing it up. Matter of fact, I would go so far as to say the fact that she's bringing it up is a good sign, because she's allowing you to come in that space and rebuild the trust that you broke. Rebuild the intimacy that you severed, that you made difficult, that you've now strained. She's in telling you again and again and again and again and again, whatever it may be, she's giving you the opportunity to collaborate with her in moving through that situation. Now, everything that I say has a context. I want you guys to always use discernment. If this is a situation where he's exhausted everything that you've asked him to do, he ain't made a single wrong move or anything like that, and at this point he's already asked or done the right thing to communicate, hold space for you, etc., but you're struggling with what to do next, no, you're still not the problem. You're still not the problem. But there is a different route that you need to take other than just bringing it to him. Because there is a such thing as a man being powerless to truly support you with how much you've been hurt. I'm not saying that you got to make this man responsible for healing you from something that he did to you. Because a lot of men can't. But what he can do is support you. And then when he gets to that limit, yes, now it's time to go a different route. But he's still not going to say, stop bringing up old stuff. He's still not going to say, you still on that, as if you're the problem for the effects of what he did to be longer lasting than what he thought they were going to be or hoped they would be. That's still not the heart posture of a man that loves you. I want to supplement what I'm saying with context and balance so you guys know how to move in these situations and don't make the wrong move for a man that truly loves you. But I absolutely, if a man can't love you enough to humble himself, to come and learn, or to, again, be curious about what it is you might be dealing with or how you might need him to support you right now, because, again, it's too inconvenient. You got to love yourself enough to go, sis. You got to run. You have to run. And I'm going to give y'all one more statement that you need to be keen about. Matter of fact, is what I'm saying making sense to you guys? Is it helpful at all? Am I giving y'all some kind of perspective? I want to know, because sometimes I talk about this stuff and I know I lose people. That's why I usually leave everything for the master classes, my mentees. Y'all let me know if it's making sense to you, yes or no. One more thing that you guys need to be wary about is when a man says, I said I was sorry, what more do you want? I said I was sorry. That ain't enough? I took accountability. Let me give y'all some game real quick. There's a lot of people who will verbally take accountability while their actions say they're not really responsible for what they did. There's a lot of people who will say the right words. You know what? I'm sorry. It was my fault. Blame it all on me. And they're literally just giving you lip service. When a man says anything along the lines of, I said I was sorry, it's just like the point before this one. Why ain't this good enough to rid me of my consequences of something I should have never done to begin with? I said I was sorry. That's a man who at best lacks the emotional intelligence to understand that the apology, the verbal apology, was just the beginning. There's a whole other process to complete the apology past the verbalized apology. This is the emotional intelligence part. Because the apology is just a statement. It's like a verbalized commitment to be better. But it's not the fulfilled commitment. It's not the safety that you need. It's not the new experience that helps you understand and recognize that this particular man or this version of a man is different than the one that hurt you. And again, it's invalidation. And I'm just telling you something. This kind of core belief or misunderstanding, rather, should I say, is something that was there long before you came along. And it's a fight that you can't win. It's so much bigger than you. You coming up against something that was there probably since childhood. Probably since childhood. I said, I'm sorry. It's another way of telling you to shut up with inconveniencing me about what I did to you. Those words should have been good enough. He got so much ego that he believes the words that he gave you before that promised he would never do something still have the same weight, still have the same substance behind them. So now that he's giving you words on the other side of hurting you and validating those words from before, you should just give his new words up, I'm sorry, the same credibility. That's so much ego. You can't fight that, sis. You can't win that fight, rather, should I say. By trying to fight that battle, you only going to lose yourself. And this is where I feel like a lot of you get to. You don't realize what you're losing as you fight the wrong battles, as you fight the enemy in this man that's bigger than you, that's stronger than you, and ain't got nothing to do with you, and you need to just leave alone for him to fight with a therapist, his mama, etc. You lose your own strength to stand up for you. And you succumb to the soul tie. And this is why when you get out of a relationship that brought you to that place where you stayed there fighting for the relationship by yourself, not realizing you were losing something that would have allowed you to love the right man that God has for you, you didn't realize it. And now that you're out of that relationship, you struggle. You struggle to open up to a new man. You struggle to believe in love again. You struggle to have the same level of optimism about a man that comes and expresses interest. You get cynical first. You get defensive first. You don't have the same peace. You have triggers that come up left and right about this man you don't even want anymore. A lot of y'all don't want your exes, but you're still imprinted by your exes based on what they did to you. You see life differently. You see men differently. And that's because that soul tie is still there. It's not even about you simply loving yourself enough, healing, blah, blah. It's about that soul tie still being there. I know that sounds crazy. How I got a soul tie? I don't even want him. He's tied to your ability to trust. He's tied to your ability to believe. He's tied to your ability to open up to a man that God has sent for you. A man can come with all the green flags in the world. And the first thing that you think about is all the green flags you believed in before you got traumatized by your ex. That's still a soul tie. He's still tied in. There are still strings attached. No, it's not attached to your desire for him, but it's attached to your ability to love the next man. I know that sounds kind of lofty. Some of y'all probably never really heard or understood or got anybody really teach you what a soul tie truly is. You hear about it and it sounds really religious and spooky or whatever. But there's a practical understanding, a practical concept of what a soul tie is. It's a little bit involved. So if you want more on that, I broke that down in the masterclass I just did a couple of days ago. It's called Break the Soul Tie. Literally, it's free, by the way. I'm not charging for this. I got stuff I charge for and I get good money off of it. I'm good on that end. I'm giving y'all a free game so nobody has to go without the information necessary to protect themselves emotionally, mentally, spiritually, because that's what the enemy is after. And he'll use a man that you believe in, a man that you give a chance to love you. He'll use that man. He'll weaponize that man against you to break you down and divert you from the man God has for you. Your destiny, the family that you know that you deserve. In one way, he's still winning against a lot of women who have big hearts, empaths, lover girls, is by keeping you ignorant to the soul tie that's got that man blocking your blessings. He could be from 5-10 years ago, and you don't want him, so you think you healed. You don't feel the hurt every day, so you think you healed. But you're still impacted by that man by way of the soul tie. The abuse is the hardest tie to break. It is. But guess what? If you know what to do, you can break any soul tie. Again, I broke that down. I didn't just describe what a soul tie is. I gave you the proven strategies to break that soul tie in the masterclass. Break the soul tie. Go ahead and register for that masterclass so you can purge yourself of any toxic debris, of any ex that you dealt with, and finally free yourself up for the man God has for you. You may already be in a relationship and you still need to break some soul ties. It may not have been a relationship. It may have just been a couple of hookups with a man. You still need to break that soul tie. And there's a practical way to do it. No, it's not super religious every single time. But again, I talked about that in the masterclass. It's also in the caption, the link to that masterclass where I went in depth. And that's the most content-packed masterclass literally I've ever done. About an hour and a half. So get comfortable. And it's free. But moral of the story is this. When a man tells you, not just shows you, tells you how he feels about you, and it's negative, it's a forewarning, consider that a blessing. Consider that a blessing. He letting you know up front he's not for you. You ain't even got to read between the lines. Just be careful not to let your desire for that man or your belief in love and relationship and family write over what that man is clearly saying on the line. You ain't even got to read between the lines. You just got to accept what he's saying for what it is, with discernment to the spirit behind what he's saying to you. Love is an action word. I'm all for that. But again, so is hate. And before that action is there, guess what? A lot of times, certain statements, certain words will come and let you know, hey, the action's on their way. Move. Or in this case, run. But those are just my thoughts. I'm your internet brother, looking out for you per usual. And again, I don't ask y'all for money for none of this stuff. You know, free game. But I do ask that you pay it forward to somebody else by hitting that share button. Because you never know who needed to be blessed by this message the same way. Hopefully it blessed you. And if it did, hit the share button. That's good karma coming your way for being a facilitator and a believer of the truth. And if you want access to that masterclass, about an hour and a half, y'all thought I just dropped some gems or something like that? Thank you for those that got something from this. Look, it ain't got nothing on that masterclass I just did. The encore is up right now. Break the Soul Tie Masterclass. This is a brand new masterclass. So if you watch some of my other ones, you haven't seen this one, go ahead and click the register.